everybody. What is up? Happy week. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. I am Katrina from In Cat We Trust, and I am back with a special guest who I interviewed earlier in the year. How are you today, Reby?
Hi, good. I was just telling you my sob story earlier about horrible flights, and aside from that, I'm good. A little tired.
Yes, I've had that horrible flight story going to Fort Lauderdale, which was a hot mess.
Ugh. Yeah,
Got
they're in no
stranded.
rush to do anything either, man. So you go anywhere in the South, and it's like everybody's all of a sudden on island time. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a crazy storm. Apparently, the airport flooded, and I wound up being stuck across the state, and I had to like lift myself over to my friend where I was going to see. Really crazy. It was a crazy
Holy
time.
cow! Well, at least that's a legitimate reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. They said they haven't had a storm like that in like 12 years, and I was like, of course, the day I come, this would happen, and so it was really crazy.
Oh my
But
God.
once everything settled down, I had a good time there. But I was like over it. The
Nice.
first day, I was just like,
Yeah, I
"Why?"
bet.
But
Uh-uh.
I am so glad to have you back on. I know when we spoke earlier in the year, you did mention you was having a book coming out, and so we have Life of a Gothic Baby. And so, can you give me some of your beginning thought processes when you wanted to get this book together?
Yes. You said storm and it started raining, girl. And when it rains here, the power goes out. So I hope that we make it through this. I'm so sorry. All right. So, Life of a Gothic Baby, it was very much, I mean, I feel like the Gothic Baby series in general was sort of inspired by, like on a whim, like from internet trolls and like weird responses on online and on social media and stuff like that. So a big part of that was that, just people having incorrect, preconceived notions about what goth is and what it isn't, and bringing different irrelevant things into it, like religion or their own maybe personal beliefs that are skewing the way that they see the rest of the world. So it all sounds very philosophical for a kid's book, right? But the meat of it is to accept people as they are and to go into things with an open mind and to not let any preconceived notions that you have, whether you realize it or not, affect the way you look at and treat people, no matter how, no matter how different they are. And it's not even just for people in the goth or alternative community. It's like people who are different in every sort of way.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a life lesson to teach people to be open and to not let whatever they may already have in their mind, stereotypes, affect how they see other people.
Yeah. Would you say I guess kind of getting the words down? I love the whole something I always go, let people be weird, let them embrace whatever it is that makes them different. It shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Like that's something, we all want to be happy in what we like, whatever it is that makes us happy. And so I love that that's the idea behind it. Would you say, I guess, getting the words down was that difficult for you?
It was because I was real cognizant and not sounding too Dr. Susie. And I feel like because my baby's in that age group right now where a lot of the books are like that, I wanted to make a children's book, but I didn't want it to be too baby, if that makes sense, right? So it was like making sure that it would be written in a way that would not be corny to any older readers, right? Or even, teenagers. I have people saying, "Oh my God, I pre-ordered this for myself. I pre-ordered this for my pre-adolescent kid, whatever, my preteen." And it's like, I feel like it would still be a cool read for even someone that age. I feel like, there was the internet stuff that really inspired it. And then there was sort of the backlash from about a year ago, almost coming up on a year, when that television show did that piece. And it was just that part where they saw 10 seconds worth of a video, which, that in itself always irks the fuck out of me. Somebody who will watch a 10-second, 30-second video and use that as the basis to judge your entire life.
Yeah.
When people are so nuanced and, God people and people in general, it's not just black and white. There's so many areas of gray in everybody's life. no matter what aesthetic they fit into, or no matter what subgenre, subculture. But there was that piece that was done on that TV show, and it really made me see, like, wow, there's really people out here that think that and say these things, these incorrect things, with their whole chest, and they say it is truth, and other people see that and they're like, well, this media said this, or this person said this, it must be true because they're saying it so passionately, and they're saying it like it's the Bible. And I was like, I really wish there was something that would sort of put these people in their place in a way, and break it down so that they could understand in the nicest way, you're wrong. A friend of mine, I gave the book to see and sort of test read it, and what do you think? And she said, this is the nicest, most wholesome way to say fuck you to people who are just spreading these like incorrect, ignorant stereotypes about a subculture of people. And I was like, you know what? Not what I was going for, but I love that. And at the root of it, it kind of is. It kind of is like, look at you, don't you feel stupid because you're wrong. And this is what it's really about. And this is why we as human beings should be a little more open-minded and a little more accepting and tolerant of people that are different from us.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, a nice, good FU. I really like the petty too, and I'm like, you know what? This is me saying that. Sometimes you have to do it in a nice way. I'm not always that nice about it.
But me too. It was a lot of drafts to get to where we're at, girl.
I loved it. One of the things I did see from when you posted online was I love the artwork style. I feel like that's always a good way, especially if you want, not just for older people, but especially children. Children look at covers and they look at the back cover. They don't necessarily read the blurb necessarily. And I love this. It's so like happy like ish, and it's not too cartoonish, but it's I'm trying to explain how I want to say this, but I love the way the illustration is. And so how did you find the illustrator that I guess gave that idea? Because I think that's one of the things I really like is it stands out. It's not too, it's kitty, but it's not too kitty. It's just a nice balance.
Exactly. So there's some of his artwork behind me right now. Actually, this is kind of a shrine to him, if really, now that I think about it. This is the cover of the book, and the illustrator here, Willie Smith II. And he collaborated with me on a pinball machine that I did, which is one of these playfields here behind me. And I love his style because it's illustrated and it's sort of on the verge of being cartoony. And I don't even want to use the word cartoony because it might have like sort of like a negative connotation, right? I feel like people throw out cartoony as like a dig sometimes, but I love that. And especially in terms of a children's book, that's, what kids gravitate towards. And he's always such a dream to work with because I will just give him the most unhinged like voice notes and text blurbs and phone calls. And I feel like 9 out of 10 people would not be able to understand what the hell I'm trying to say, but he gets it. He's so intuitive. He's so smart. He just runs with it. And I love his style. And it was really important for me too, at least with the pinball project, which is how we met. That whole project that I did for the Matt Hardy's Expedition to Gold Pinball, everybody that I outsourced anything to, I wanted to be a person of color. My voice actor is Latino. The illustrator is the Black man. I was like, yeah. So going to him and already having that relationship was great. He was the first person that I thought of, and I was really hoping he'd be into it because he's so busy. He doesn't do like kid stuff, he does like serious illustration work and like wrestling and all kinds of different anime projects and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I really hope that he'll be into this. but he was, thank goodness, and it worked out really great. And it's cool because there's such a small percentage in the book world that are authors and illustrators that are people of color. I think it's something like 18%, if I'm not mistaken, of authors in the children's book world and illustrators too, but authors in particular that are people of colors. It's very, it's this way male dominated sort of almost, not to get into all that, but so that's kind of cool too, to put that in there. And then we have a history, and I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Latina, so I feel like it was a really good match, and he knocked it out of the park, And there's also so many Easter eggs in there that because he's a wrestling fan and because we've worked together in the past, he kind of knew, so it's like, I want to, put little secret things of my kids in there. I want to, there's a page with book titles, and they're all sort of relevant to like our lives and the stuff we've done in the past. And we snuck my dad in there, and so it's a lot of cool stuff. So I couldn't say enough good things about him. He's so good. Really I think the illustrations make the book too, because you write it down on paper and you're like, oh, okay, this is a nice little happy-go-lucky feel to it. It's a good moral of the story type thing. You put the artwork with it and it really pops off. Another thing too, I wanted to make sure that it was colorful. It's life of a Gothic baby, but that's also such a strong theme within the book that just because somebody is Gothic, it doesn't mean that they're sad all the time, that they're gloomy all the time, that they're moping that everything is black and everything is dark. There's duality to people, there's sides to people, there's nuance to situations and people. So the book is colorful, and it's happy, and it's engaging for young readers, and even people who can't read. Just the pictures are beautiful, and of course there are darker images in there because it is life of a Gothic baby, and that's the vibe. But it's part of the story. It's like, yes, it's dark, it's Gothic, but that's not all it is. There's two sides to everything. There's a million sides to everything.
Yeah, I love that, especially just you mentioning wanting people of color. And I say this because that's something I've done. Well, before I started doing the wrestling stuff, I write romance books, and I had made a platform specifically for women of color just to promote whatever it was that they were in, no matter what the genre was. It was just like,
amazing.
And so I feel like stuff. So when you said that, I'm like, oh yes, because that's something I've always think we never see enough of that in general. In a lot of,
I will go out of my way. And I've been really blessed to be lucky in a lot of things, and my bilingual nature has gotten me really far because of that. But you look at my dad, who is way darker than I am, and just that, again, not to get into this, but it irks the shit out of me. We'll go out. It's the difference from when I go out with, like, let's say Matt, and the difference from when I go out with my dad, and I could just see how different it is and how different that he's treated. And I'm like, man, if he'd have just been with the woman a little darker, that would have been me too, So it's like, I go out of my way to, not even as a fuck you, but I feel like everything I do is kind of a fuck you. But it's important to me to really, everything that I do, to keep it in the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's something I've always, like, knowing how I feel like in most aspects of anything, unfortunately, the people of color is always so small. So, but writing it is definitely so low that's why I was like, oh no, we got to put these women of color up here and let everybody see that they're doing what they're doing. And so I love that was one of the exciting things, kind of just keeping it all to show that we out here and we're doing awesome things as well.
I feel like, people with, any sort of like hardship, strife in their lives, they always turn out, to me, I believe, the most creative, right? And it's like, so with that in mind, the most creative people are out here getting the least work. That's sort of why I'm like, that not to say that, Latinos do it best, people of color do it best, but it is what it is.
Definitely understand that. How would you say
I'm getting canceled now. Listen, delete this. I'm getting canceled.
That is the one thing about my brand. Guys, I am all for people of color, women, and particularly women. We're not doing that. So you're good. Like, if anybody has an issue of anything you said, they can kiss all the asses that need to be, like.
There you go.
How would you say the reception of those who had a chance to read your book, how has that been for you?
So it's still on pre-order. It's kind of driving me crazy because the process is so long. I'm sure, as you know, it's longer than I realized that it would be. This has been like over a year in the making at this point. And even from the time of finalization and sending the final artwork and doing the draft and approving the million things that need to be approved and tweaked and improved, and then that takes weeks in itself, It's been a long time. So it's just on pre-order right now. All of my friends have seen it. I had a book release party that did really well. So, people saw it there. I've taken it to signings. I've started to do sort of a soft launch at wrestling events and cons and stuff. And people really seem to love it. And people seem to be surprised that there's sort of such a deep meaning within a little kiddie book, right? I think it's more than what people were expecting for such a short volume of a book, first of all, and then just for a kid's book in general. I think so. It's nice to see people pleasantly surprised. That's always a good sign, and I can't wait till the book starts shipping. The pre-order is going to start shipping in a few months. I think it might make it just in time for spooky season, which for me has already started a month ago. But for traditional spooky season, October, if not, it's 1,000% going to be available for the holiday season, Christmas and all that. So I'm pumped to see how that's going to work out. I'm pumped to send a copy to the talk show who partly inspired it, and see if they'll give me any sort of response. Probably not, but even just to know that they would see it, and maybe school them a little bit with my rhymes, with my children's rhymes.
I would love if they could see that and maybe see the error of their ways. But I feel like it takes a big person to say, "Hey, I was wrong," and I don't get the vibes. I don't get the vibes that they would do it. But
and if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. I feel like they had plenty of opportunities to. There was a huge public backlash. There was the UK equivalent of like FCC and people writing into stuff. They got over 70 official written complaints, girl. So not just like bitching on social media. 70 people went and sat at their desk and wrote letters saying this is wrong and y'all fucked up. You know what I mean? Like this is not right. So there was passionate outcry and negative responses, and they had every opportunity to say something and amend things and maybe give a detraction from this. Nothing. There was. So if it wasn't going to happen by now, it's probably not going to happen. But they're going to see it. I know they're going to see it. So even just that makes me happy. There might or might not be a subtle nod to the whole thing, but any appearances that are true to real life are completely coincidental.
Yeah, I love everything about this. Would you be thinking of maybe writing another one in the future? Again, you do have some kitties as well, and so yes. I feel like your life in general can get so many different ideas just for children's books. So do you have any more in the head that you might want to put down on paper?
So what's crazy is when I started pitching the book, I started pitching to all the, major children's publishers and then indie publishers and then hybrid publishers. And then, I was even thinking, do I want to self-publish? There's all these different avenues that you can go down. So I sort of threw it out there, and it was my whole life there for months pitching. And the thing about the publishing world is most houses won't even look at submissions that are, without an agent or unprompted. Once or twice a year they'll do it. So I was like, man, I really hope that I, cosmically pick the right time to start, cold submitting this work, this manuscript, which, by the way, I submitted it as is, completely done. A lot of times too, you sort of submit your idea and then they have illustrators that they work with and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, no, this is my book. This is my vision. This is how I want it. So I didn't hear back from anybody for months and months and months. And then I struggled here with a hybrid publisher, which has been really good. And then as it was being finalized, probably my top publisher contacted me back and was like, yes, absolutely, we want this, like, let's go. And I was like, oh my god, already doing this, but that's how it goes. The book world is so cutthroat. But because they were so interested in it, we've been talking about possibly doing maybe a spin-off or maybe another version or even a reprint through them, which is really cool. So we'll see how that goes. But I have already another book in the chamber. I didn't want to bother Willie with it because, you know, it's so much hard work. So I did AI image generations of what I think the stuff should look like and submitted that. So hopefully that would work. But it does incorporate sort of the same themes and also a little bit of like theater, a little bit of showbiz, so to jazz it up a bit. So I hope that works out, but that would be a great follow-up. So yes, already thinking of other stuff because I'm super passionate about it, and the book world has always been something that's blown my mind that I always wanted to be part of. You know, I always even say with Matt, the coolest things that he's ever done, number one, a Chef Boyardee commercial. And then number two, being a New York Times bestseller. I feel like that's the biggest flex, you know, like making it in the book world. So I would really just love to keep going with that and making my literary dreams come true. It would really mean a lot. It would be so great. I'm hoping.
Oh, putting that in the universe. Fingers crossed. I think you'll be.
There you go.
I think you will, because I love the concept. And so tell everybody, I know you said it's on pre-order, where they can pre-order it. And again, on social media, where they can find you.
Yeah, so of course I'm on TikTok and across most social media platforms except for Instagram because someone has stolen my name and won't give it back, and Instagram will do nothing to help me. But it is Reby Hardy. Reby rhymes with Debbie, Reby, and then Hardy, of course, on TikTok. And I quit Twitter actually, so it's just TikTok. and Instagram is Reby Sky. You could get the book available for pre-order right now at gothicbabybook.com, or you could go straight to the publisher there. That's Mascot Books, and get your pre-orders in. Once that first run is gone, it's gone, which is insane. And we're about halfway there so far. And it's before the book tour has even started. So I'm like, oh my God, this is great. But I'm also like, oh my God, we're going to have to do another print run really fast. Hopefully they can, you know, get on it. Yeah. But it's gothicbabybook.com. It's behind me there, and it's here. It is beautiful. It's big. Look at that. I have a big head, and the book is pretty big. And it's fully color, glossy pages. Just really beautiful. And like we were saying, you know, the artwork there. Tons of Easter eggs. If you're a wrestling fan, there's things to look for. If you're not a wrestling fan, there's my kids there. He drew the other kids in there. He really just did a great job. So even here, right, this page, you can see it's like they're in a great girl. So it's got the best of both worlds, and a really good story that I feel like is a lot of different people and a lot of different groups can relate to, not just the Gothic and alternative community there. And what's really cool is it's literally that is her nursery. That is a Gothic Baby nursery, which is so cool. So, that is at gothicbabybook.com. All about her.
No, I love it. I will be.
There we go. Giving me time to blab on incoherently. Probably went on so many different unnecessary side tangents. I'm sorry.
No, listen, I love chatting with you, and that's one of the things I always like about you. You speak what it is. I love that. So we're good. We are good. I will also be pre-ordering. I will have the link in the description, guys, so please support both Reby and Gothic Baby. Support. Please pre-order again. And most of us probably are wrestling fans because hey, so am I. So if you like finding things, I love finding things like that in books, then definitely go pre-order. But thank you again so much for coming back on. It is always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. As soon as I get a new batch, I'm going to have to send you one. I got to order them in batches of 20, unfortunately.
All right, guys. Again, everything will be in the description. Until next time, we will catch you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.